Do you know Russ at all? And what are your thoughts on Russ and how we all view him, basically? And by we are people that don't know him. Every time he says something, the immediate reaction is, this guy's got to be full of shit.
Yep.
Then you're hearing like leaked reports coming out from the building, from people that have great connections in there about the attitude and how it's all going. Obviously, coach has already been fired. They have looked abysmal. The defense has been great. There's more money going to the quarterback than the entire defense, basically, at certain spots. It's like that type of stuff can really drive a wedge. What do you know about Russell Wilson, the person? And then what do you know about Denver, who I assume you have a lot of close friends with? Is it all being blown out of proportion right now because they're losing?
Well, I mean, first I'll say this. What I know about Russ is obviously, all the great things that he's done in the community. All the great things that he's done with children and hospitals. And, we had the same mental coach with Trevor Mawad, rest in peace. And, his relationship with Trevor Mawad was one of the reasons, why I wanted to work with Trev. I always admired Russ in interviews. I always admired, Russ in big moments, and he still even kill, and even the smaller moments, and he's still, going out there and working. And of course, we lost to Russ in the Seattle Seahawks in 2013. So I've always admired Russell's mental toughness and his mindset. And from what I've seen in from the competitor side of me going against Russell Wilson, I think this 1 year is an anomaly. I'll say that right now. I think we all get. He didn't have the best year that he wanted to have, but I'm willing to bet my money, which I like to I like to wager some.
Every once in a while, M&Ms and stuff like that.
M&Ms and Reese's and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that Russell Wilson's next year coming up would be drastically different than this Russell Wilson that we had. It's a learning curve, and I don't care if you've been playing 12 or 13 years. There's always a learning curve. It's different environments. The energy's different in Denver than what it was in Seattle Seahawks. And, of course, you paying the guy $245 million. You like to say, like, all of that stuff doesn't matter, but it really does. And I think another year in Denver with the energy of Denver and everything that it's about, and it's a high standard there in Denver. You got Elway, Peyton Manning, and all the other things that we've done there in Denver. And it's a very, very high standard, so you're always held to that standard. But like I said before, I think that Russell Wilson's second year with the Denver Broncos will be drastically different than what we saw this year. Will they go to a Super Bowl? Will they, that remains to be said. But I know for a fact that the Russ and the team that we saw this year would not be the same as the team that we saw this year would not be the same as what we're going to see this coming up year.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit, and I appreciate your take on that. And we had learned about the mental coach, rest in peace. We thought that maybe was a massive piece of why Russell has maybe something has changed.
Trevor was amazing. Like
that's what we heard.
He did wonders with me. Like it was things that my perspective and my focus on things. Like he was so great in just sitting down and talking to you and just really figuring out your perspective and what things matter to you and just rearranging those things. He used to always say, identify what's necessary and eliminate the risk. And that hit home with me. And he used to always say, it takes what it takes, which I have it tatted right here on my ankle. It takes what it takes. It's a simple, saying, but it truly does. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever it takes to get there, you just have to do it, and you have to do it each and every day. So that could be a component of it as well.
Yeah, and we learned of that, and thank you for explaining who he is, because that kind of proves the point that we were chatting about, that maybe some things have changed in his life. But do you think the locker room, knowing the way an NFL team is, 3 of them now, you're on 3, you're going to be the first player in the history of the NFL to have 3 Super Bowls with 3 different organizations. That's a goal at least in the next 6 years with the contract that you signed there. Do you think that team, after all the shit that has happened this year, allegedly, defensive side of the ball, a lot of stars. Hey, studs on that defensive side that you know a lot about.
Pat Surtain, Brandon Browning.
Dogs. They got dogs over there that have really.
Raymond Jones.
They've held up their end of the bargain, right? They've held up their end of the bargain. Then there's other guys on the team that held up their end of the bargain. Then all this stuff's going on about private offices and all this other. Who knows what's real, what isn't real? We do not know. Do you think that's fixable? Like if he wins, all that is just kind of thrown aside. Let's just move along.
Performance is the most important thing in our league. What you do each and every Sunday. I've been on different teams, and if you balling, like if you going out there and you whooping ass and you All Pro, this MVP candidate, bro, it doesn't really matter what you do off the field. It doesn't matter if you have an office up there with John Elway. It doesn't matter if you got your whole staff in there. Like, if you're going out there, you winning games, you're throwing for 350 yards, you averaging that throughout the season, you doing your job, like, it doesn't matter. Now, as soon as you start having any type of struggles, that's what we do in our sport. You look at him and like, okay, it's because he's not with the guys. It's because he's not in the prison with the prisoners. It's because he has his own staff. It's because he's not grinding with us. Like, that's just what we do. You can take it off Russ. You can take it on a rookie. He's having success, and then he starts struggling. You start looking at, well, is he staying up late? Is he playing video games? Is he doing enough film? Is he doing enough treatment? That's just what we do in our profession. As long as you're performing, you're not going to have any questions about any of that stuff.
Yeah, and if you're not winning, people are just going to want an explanation or try to pick apart indicators. But as soon as you get a dub, all those indicators are helping. Yeah. Remember, when he's playing his video games, he's escaping. He's keeping himself fresh. He's not too bogged down. Then whenever they're losing, this fucking guy refuses to watch film. This guy needs that. It is crazy. But if you think they can win, though? You think they can?
I think they can win. I think they got all the tools. For me, just taking out the player, and of course I got a soft spot for Denver, the Denver Broncos, and I just look at it from a GM business point of view. Like, they got everything. They literally have everything. And we can start with the fans. They got great fans. They got great facilities, great athletic training staff, great strength and conditioning staff with Lando and all of those guys. They got great coaches. They got some of the best coaches in the league. They let some go. Wow. Great kicker for sure. Brandon McManus. He's the best in the league. If he's not the best, he's number 2.
Dog.
They got defense. They got offensive linemen. Of course, they had some injuries on the offensive line with Gary Bowles and Billy and all those guys. But they get all of those guys back. They got young, great talent. I think their tight end is really good. They get Javon back. Javon was a huge piece of that. He's one of the best running backs in the league. Yeah. He tears his ACL early in the season, and you just put all that pressure on Russ to win the game by himself. And it doesn't really matter, if you the best quarterback in the league, you have to have some type of run offense. So they had injuries, and I'm not making any excuses, but they had injuries just like every other team. They've got amazing talent, from Patrick Surtain to Justin Simmons to all of these guys. It's just a matter of just figuring it out, which I definitely I'm a firm believer. Not just Russell Wilson, but this Denver Broncos team will be totally different in 2023 for sure.
All right, AJ, go ahead.
Hey, with that being said, Vaughn, last thing for me, what kind of coach do they need to bring in then? Obviously a guy that kind of does something with the culture there. Like, who do you think they're going to have to think outside the box and do some kind of weird hire that we haven't seen in a while, even though everything's weird?
No, I mean, everybody wants to talk about Sean Payton and, all these guys. I think, for me, we're riding on the Russell Wilson ship, right? We're riding on the success of Russell Wilson. I want to get a coach that has had some type of experience with Russ and brought the best out of Russ. That could be a quarterback coach. That could be an offensive coordinator. I want Russ to be involved in this, and I want to get the best coach for Russ. Because as Russ goes, we'll go. Our defense is great. Everett, he's doing a great job with their defense. The defense is great. We need to focus on what quarterback does Russ need? What quarterback has had history with Russ and works well with Russ? Maybe it's not a quarterback, maybe it's not a coach out there that has had experience, but what kind of coordinator or what kind of head coach can work with Russ to bring the best out of Russ?
Yeah, that's what they're gonna.
It's in there. It's in there. We just gotta find a coach that he gels with. And at first, Hackett and Russ, they got along real well. But I think we gotta look a little bit deeper in that and just get a coach for this offense. And we got Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton.
Come on.
If all else fails, let's just throw the ball to Cortland Sutton.
Come on.
Let's just throw the ball to Cortland Sutton.
Is this football or what?
Come on.
Tim Patrick?
Just put him back in a punter. Get 15 yards back, long snap it. Can't protect him. Who cares? Have Sutton run down the right side. 30 straight goes.
Chuck it.
Let's do it.
That's awesome to hear. I love how invested you are still in that Denver Broncos community, it sounds like, because whenever you got traded out of there, that was the actual surprise, right? If I do recall, you actually surprised, did not get expected. Then you go to LA, wins a Super Bowl with LA, now with the Buffalo Bills, coaching, leading, giving an incredible content right now while you're playing in the league.